I think I learned to be more content with myself. I ended up spending a lot of time with myself through that period, and I think I learned to find um, my own identity, but be at peace with myself.
He's a Mr. Worldwide making his own name. Thomas Beattie, thanks for joining me for Truth Be
Yeah, thank
Told.
you for having me on.
You played soccer professionally until 2015 and then publicly came out as gay in 2020. Take me through that 5 years in between. What was going on?
I feel like it was like my teenage years as a gay individual.
Wow.
I was going through the exploratory phase of figuring out who I am. My identity within the community, and just kind of figuring it out. Really, I mean, I was so outside of the bubble of LGBTQ life because I exonerated myself from it completely. I completely um, separated myself from being a part of it. That when I came out, it was kind of like 0 to 100. I had to figure out that process of what I liked, what I didn't like, who I was, who I wanted to be,
Yeah.
and just kind of grow into the person I feel like I am now. So it was, the first 3 years was an exploratory process for me, and then I feel like I arrived at a point where I was, comfortable and content with enough with who I am. Because I feel like you have to unravel pieces of yourself when you come out, especially as an athlete, because you kind of bury pieces of yourself to fit in. And then, when, especially, my age coming out, I kind of had to unravel these pieces and figure out who actually really am I.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was more of an exploratory process that I enjoyed. Um, and I guess in some way I'm still kind of going through that a little bit, but yeah, I've
Totally. It's
arrived
it's, it's
where I am
evolving,
now.
right? Ever evolving
Yeah,
process. And
yeah,
listen, our stories are very different, but I think so alike in that you came to a place where keeping your truth to yourself became debilitating. And so I feel like these opportunities to meet ourselves, to bring our identities into the spotlight, those opportunities, I think, find you in some way. But feeling obligated to share your story and kind of meeting that point in your life, take me through a little bit of that experience for you.
well, I'd kind of arrived at a point post playing football where I feel like I was quite privileged, to be honest. I was quite safe and secure, and I built a bunch of businesses that had gone on to do really well, and some of which have been acquired by publicly listed companies. And so I felt like if the whole world turned their back on me, I would be good. And it gave me the confidence to kind of say, I should use this amazing um, privilege to do some good with the fact that, I was, former athlete. There's not many of these stories that I hear about, and I want to affect some change in that. So yeah, I kind of went through the whole process of first accepting myself and then really embracing it, and then saying, I should do something good with this, and I should, try and make a difference. What do I want my legacy to be? What do
Yeah.
I want to live on after me? And so I started to become really passionate about how can I make sure other people like myself, especially in football, which I think is a great place to start the conversation. Um, how can I affect some change so that other people don't go through the same process? So, yeah, I became super passionate about it. To be honest, when I was in the closet, I was very, I'd say, selfish, but I was consumed with my own story.
Wow.
And then when I got to a point of really accepting myself, I began to realize the power of visibility and representation, and the benefit and the help it can do for others.
Was there a moment where you were like, I have to really take care of this? I have to really meet myself?
Yeah, definitely. I think uh, so. I broke my skull at 28, but actually, honestly, about 3 months before I broke my skull, I was in a, I was struggling. I was always injured in this one period, and mentally, I think that I had so much consuming me that my body was just following what my mind was telling me mentally, and so I was kind of getting to this point of thinking this is not healthy for me mentally, emotionally, and physically. So yeah, I think I was already coming to the point of there needs to be some kind of change, for me in this process. And effectively, the decision was taken out of my hands when I had a collision. But Again, it was kind of a beautiful nightmare. I look back on it. I wouldn't want to go through it again, but
Yeah.
there was definitely some positives that came out of it.
What were some of those lessons
I
to dig
think you
into that?
learn. I think I learned to be more content with myself. I ended up spending a lot of time with myself through that period, and I think I learned to find um, my own identity, but be at peace with myself. I think then afterwards, when you start bringing other people into your space, I was in a healthier place, to receive love and give love,
Mm.
because I'd kind of been in an environment where I feel like I'd been forced to be okay with myself. I wasn't leaning, or I wasn't giving responsibility to anyone else to make me happy. I'd become at peace with myself. So I think it taught me that I would be okay if I was by myself, but at least I was true to myself in that process. And I think, it was something that even now I'm grateful for that process, I think.
I remember Robbie Rogers coming out, being such a big deal for me personally. And that said,
Yeah.
there have been so few athletes in that professional space that have come out. How's that affected you? And being from that space, that sports arena, what's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, there'd not been anyone from the UK who'd come out in over 30 years when I came out. So it'd been
Wow.
such a long period of time from the UK. We'd seen Robbie come out, and also Colin Martin in the US. So we had a couple of guys in the US who had come out. Um, but again, it was just it was a handful of people. And I kind of wanted to contribute to that. I'd never really read many stories that was, as impactful in a way where I was like, okay, I can resonate with that. So I just kind of wanted to add to that and see if I could help bring on more people, or at least allow more people to feel confident to do the same thing. So it's been really liberating for me to be able to facilitate the coming out of people like Josh Cavallo and Jake Daniels, and other athletes like Hig Roberts in skiing and stuff. I think that for me has become really purposeful because I know how lonely it can be as an athlete. So yeah, I think it's kind of a full circle moment for me. I feel the privilege of being able to facilitate, hopefully, the next generation of LGBTQ athletes.
Yeah, it's like why keep this to yourself, right?
Yeah,
Everybody needs to feel this, absolutely. And so here you are today. You're out proud, inspiring others. Who and what would you say is Thomas Beattie today? What is your truth, would you say?
I think my truth is exactly that. Somebody who went through struggle and pain, and I turned it into purpose, which I think for me is something that is overwhelming to even understand, but also it's just liberating to know that something that caused me so much pain previously is now something that leads me to be so purposeful. It's what makes me wake up in the morning. It fuels the things I do on a daily basis, and I'm super passionate about it. So yeah, if I could phrase it in one sentence, I think turning pain into purpose is really who I feel like I am now.
I love that. And a friend recently just shared with me the idea of rather being a role model, being a possibility model. And you are that to so many people and so many to come. So thank you, Thomas. This was a great chat. And so appreciate you. Thanks for being so open with your
Yeah,
story.
thank you for having me on. Appreciate that.
To see more Truth Be Told, you guys, check us out at pluslifemedia.com and follow us at pluslifemedia.